Don't you just love when you injure yourself right before you're about to film a YouTube video? This is my dominant hand too, so I don't know how I'm ever gonna do anything ever again. I write with this hand, man. I'm not gonna be able to write anything anymore. So back in the day in like 1984 when I was in school, I used to be quite a bit of a chatterbox. I would talk and talk and talk and talk until I couldn't talk anymore, but even then, I would still talk and talk and talk and talk. Nowadays though, I'm mostly a quiet person, and if any of my classmates are watching this video, my old classmates, they'll probably be like,
"Where was that quiet person back then in school?"
But yeah, if I was my classmates, I would have been extremely annoyed at myself too.
You need to shut the up.
Like I tried to be such a class clown all the way up until college. Like we're supposed to be more mature in college, and here I am still trying to be a class clown. Like come on, we're adults now. And I think the thing was I was an introverted extrovert, and I still kind of am. I don't know if that makes sense, but like introverts, they're shy, they don't really reveal too much about themselves. I'm definitely the shy part of that, but the extrovert part comes like I need social interaction, in-person social interaction. Like I like that, but at the same time I'm like, at least nowadays I'm like quiet. So yeah, back in school I was like that girl from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, that girl that like talked so much that Mac like blew up on her.
I don't like you! Don't you get it? Nobody likes you. You're annoying and weird and you talk too much, and Blue's name is not Chester. Mr. Harriman is not a badger. That's not how you play checkers. And protein doesn't come from bananas. It comes from nuts, which you don't need to eat more of because you are nuts. You're chock full of nuts. You're so nuts, you drive me nuts. Get it? 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 Everybody thinks you're a nuisance, and they all want you to just go home.
But since COVID, I went the complete other direction. I'm like the total opposite now. Like again, my old classmates would be like,
"Where was this person back then? Why couldn't you have been that person back then?"
A good example of this was like fall 2020. I was hanging out with a friend and two of her friends who I was meeting for the first time. I was already like nervous to hang out with her because I have social anxiety. So I'm even more socially anxious now because I'm meeting her friends for the first time. So I'm trying extra hard to make a good impression, but it backfired on me severely because I was pretty quiet during the whole, hangout. And then afterwards, when I asked to hang out again, she was saying how like, you don't even talk, you barely talk. And then I just said like, I'm shy, I'm sorry. And since then we haven't talked or hung out again. So that friendship's over, I guess, because I was too quiet. In work meetings too, like for the first year of my current job, I wasn't really talking in our meetings. Like everyone else would talk. I would talk when spoken to, but even then it was like I wasn't really saying much. But that's really for a more serious reason that I'm not gonna get into. And a couple months ago, I went to the city to hang out with some friends. And again, I was more on the quiet side. I did have my moments. Like I cracked a joke after being quiet for like the entire conversation, and everyone laughed because they weren't expecting it. But I think it was extra funny because it just came out of nowhere for me, like because I was like being so quiet, and then all of a sudden I cracked this joke. But it was a good dynamic because I was the quiet one. We had a friend who talked a lot, and then there was the one that was like in the middle. So it was a really good balance dynamic in that group. So I'm quickly just gonna get into why I'm more quiet now. The first reason being, as I mentioned before, I talked a lot in school, and I don't wanna be like that again. I don't wanna be that chatterbox. And even when I do talk nowadays, I feel like I say way too much, and like I put a lot of filler words, I stutter a lot. Yeah, I just feel like I talk way too much now. And I also have, as I mentioned before as well, social anxiety. So I find it a little difficult to engage with people who do talk a lot. And I'm also doing more observing now. Like I've taken on the observer role. And that's one of the good things of being a quiet person, being the observer. You can read the room better, read people better. You're just more like aware of what's going on around you, being extra alert. And people can't really read you, which I'm gonna get into a little bit more later. And us quiet people, we are really misunderstood. Like we're trying not to be rude, I promise. We're just shy. We have social anxiety. We're introverts. We're really not trying to be rude. And for me, my quietness level is dependent on how comfortable I am in the situation. At first, I'm gonna be very quiet because it's a new situation, sometimes new people. And then as I get more comfortable, I will talk more, like that city trip. The more time I spent with these people, because I was seeing them in person for the first time, the more talkative I became. And believe me, since I am the observer, I am listening to what you're saying. Even though I may not be responding much, I am listening. So about the part of people not being able to read you as a quiet person, a lot of people don't like that. They don't like quiet people because they can't read them. They can't figure out what they're thinking. And especially if your face is like blank, like mine tends to be sometimes, they can't stand that. They want to be able to know what you're thinking. They want to be able to read you. They want to know how to proceed. They want to know what they can say, what they can't say. They hate that, man. And it's not like I'm glaring at everybody. I do have an RBF sometimes, and I'm always trying to fix that when I'm in a social situation. Like I try to immediately just so that people don't think I'm glaring at them or that I'm like mad or something. But yeah, it's just how I am at the moment. It might change in the future. Like I might go in the middle, because back then in school, I was the chatterbox. Now I'm the quiet one. So I would like to find a balance eventually, well, as soon as possible really, so that I'm both a chatterbox and a quiet person, just in the middle, not up here, not down here, just here. So yeah, that's all folks. I just want to give people a little information on quiet people. Of course, I can't speak for all quiet people. I'm really just speaking for myself, but if I'm like most other quiet people, then this information still should be useful. Again, we are not trying to be rude. We're just shy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.